Case number 3 is that we want to better understand the data in Sovelia PLM, and we want to look at how we could monitor using monitoring tools in Sovelia PLM to understand information that's going on with the system. So Sammy, I'm going to invite you to open your microphone if you can, and I will stop sharing my screen, and you can start to show this great new functionality that we are looking at. So over to you, Sammy.
Thank you, Tim. Hopefully the audience still bears with me. So let's try to run this quickly. So am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
You see it. So
yep, we can see that. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Good. So the Sovelia PLM server monitoring, that's a completely new component. We've been working with this component already a while. I think we started it on 20.0 release, but now we are reaching some maturity, so it's time to talk about it. What that really is, and what I'm trying to cover here quickly is that what this is, what does it do, why did we do it, and what was the motivation of it, and what's the next things that we plan to do with it. And let's start about that, what it is. The more generic term for stuff like this you can find easily online is an application of performance management. It's a concept that it's but if you are interested in Google, it's easy to find. So if I show quickly some schematic landscape, how the big puzzles are in the architectural wise. So on the left side we have a server domain where this Sovelia server actually exists in premises, cloud. It's irrelevant basically in this particular context. It of course needs some public internet connections to be able to work. So inside of that Sovelia server, of course, we have our core services. I'm not going to talk a lot about those right now, but what we added is a new module inside of that Sovelia server itself, which is called monitoring module, an APM module. And what does it do? It actually collects information from the Sovelia server, and from that not only the server physically, but also from the processes that we run in the Sovelia server. It has a storage of its own. The storage is mainly a middle storage, so we don't constantly send data over to the public internet. There is a process and configuration layers that tells what to send, when to send, how often send. So it's sending bursts of information. And where does it send it? It sends it to the Microsoft Azure portal. This is a product that Microsoft have developed during last few years, and also a good example of, if you remember early this morning, about our Sovelia PLM development process. So this is an example of how technological things make things possible. So they actually provide quite good APM capabilities and functionalities in Microsoft Azure portal, and I'm gonna show it a little bit soon. And we are using there some of the modules called application insights, and then we use some of the resources on that particular Microsoft Azure portal, and that is in the cloud. So basically we can send this data to multiple addresses inside the Microsoft Azure portal cloud. And what do we then? Why do we can send it to multiples? That we can send it to ours, or we can send it to yours, if you have one. And the reason why we were also thinking about it might be clever that we're able to send it to you as well, because this, what do we also collect is the license usage. So we collect how you guys are using our licenses. And what I've learned in the past that can really interest you as well a lot, like what's your license usage rates, let's say in a given 30 days or month or a year or so. That's one of the aspects. The other aspect is that we are sending application performance management metrics. So we are sending, of course, very traditional metrics, the CPU usage of the server, the memory usage, the disk I/O usage, but we also go beyond that. We are sending internal metrics out of Sovelia server itself. So we see and look and monitor how the server communicates with the database. We also record response times in the calls. We are also checking errors. So if there are failing calls or if there are very slow calls. And also we are, the server already have these kind of self-test reports that you have been able to run them manually for ages now, but now we have automated those, so we can actually run those automatically, and with that server self-test reports, we get a lot of information and metrics from the server itself. And this particular monitor module is very light because basically what it sends, it's raw data. It's not binary, but it's almost binary. So we are sending such small. It's a key value data. It's very light. It doesn't really hurt the server as well. It doesn't load the network or anything like that. And they are very good interfaces on Microsoft Azure portal to receive this kind of data. They have built it for this purpose. And why are we did it? What's the motivation? So as I mentioned, the license usage, that is for you. So you can have an easy access your license consumption in your environment. You can check your current usage, you can check your historic use, how you have been using. So that's the one motivation. The other motivation is that with this application performance management, the whole motivation is that we are monitoring the performance and the availability of that server. We try to detect and diagnose application performance problems. And of course, the motivation for that is to maintain an expected level of service on your environment. And also the preventive maintenance is one of the things. So if we can see that these tools are kind of made for identifying trends. They can learn from the history what's typical, what's not typical. So we can, for example, indicate that you are running out of resources on your server, as an example. A little bit before it happens. So the main motivation is to have it an acceptance, an expected level of service available, and also learn about things, what happens in those production environments. And if I quickly show, like the sending part is nothing really that we can show because it's happening behind the scenes, but I can show the actual Azure portal. This is a dashboard, so they have really built a massive set of tools to collect data, analyze the data, have metrics, have algorithms of data, and we are reusing them as fully as we can. It's a learning process for us as well. We've been learning it now for about a year, And we are now starting to reach in point where we would really desperately want to put this in live, because testing our own testing environments is not really representative enough compared to what's happening on the real life production environment. And it's also very hard for us to simulate real life production environments for various reasons. For example, the end user usages are hard to simulate. We do try to simulate. We do have all kind of stress tests and load tests, and we can automate a lot of things, put a lot of users doing a lot of same things and different things at the same time, different intervals. We do all that as well, but it's not always enough. And also because of the high configurability of Sovelia servers, those Sovelia servers that you are running are a little bit different on each and every customer case. So we can't really test all of the combinational configurations in our own testing laboratories. So maybe this is just on one of our servers. So that's another one of our servers. And for example, license data, we don't have a very good license data, but you can drill down for license. It's a professional license on that server. Now I'm looking for last 24 hours. I can change it to the 7 days. And I can see how much licenses I've been using during that day. And I can also drill downsize it to the specific events. There's really good and nice features on these tools. So for example, if you see some peaks, and you point out, all the metrics point the same page. So it gives us a very good view that what all of these metrics, we have 10 to 15 different metrics, what kind of measurements we get in certain period of time. So we can know what's happening there from many angles. We are not just bound to one metric at the one time, so we can see all of them. Also in the support of your environments, and also from the R&D point of view, we really want to learn the server behavior on production environments. So this tool, as it's a cloud base, and as we push the data to the Azure cloud, it's all the time available for us. If we agree so with you, we need, of course, your permissions. This is not activated by default. This is included on the server after release 21.1, but it's not activated. And also all the data that we send are by default anonymous data, so there's no personal information. We have a switch that if you want, for example, have your license usage, and if you send it to your Azure account, if you have one, if you want to buy one, just an advertise, they are pretty cheap in Azure, they don't cost a lot. Then we could activate also that we send who is the guy, who is the usage, but that's your decision, not our decision. And as you know, it's a GDPR related limitation nowadays, so we can't send them without the proper approval, or you can't send it either without proper approval of your users. But it's a possibility as well. So that's what we've been working, and this is also quite common nowadays that many web applications and applications like us, they are having this kind of performance management tools, either embedded or they are additional tools installed on the server. In our case, we are coupling all the sending part inside of our own server, so you don't need to install anything more there. Everything is there as the server is there. All you need to do is to turn it on and configure it to the right address, and it will start sending the data. Either your Azure or both. That's an agreement that we need to do together with you, case by case. From development point of view of this tool and this process, we are, as I said, we are reaching a point that we would really want to get this out on the wilderness and start to get real data, real experience, and start to learn and further develop tools and metrics and analysis of data. With the motivation of having the expected service level availability in your server, and also as a side effect of this thing, more or less you get the license usage data as if you want to have it like this. That's pretty much my presentation. I'm not going to use any more time on that.
Thanks, Sami.
Please ask.